Welcome to Data and AI Conversations with Surya. That's me. Here we dive into real stories, insights, and career journeys. So let's get started. Hi, Nikki. How are you?
Hello, I'm very well, thank you. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm very glad that you were able to join me for this. So let me first introduce you to the listeners. So, Nikki, you're a senior consultant at Advancing Analytics, and you're from Glasgow.
That's
I looked
correct.
at your LinkedIn today morning, and you have this huge list of certificates, which, I mean, if I sit here listing them, I'll probably be here for an hour. So, the last two were the Databricks Certified Data Analyst Associate, the Fabric Analytics Engineering Associate, and a Scrum Master certificate as well, which is quite interesting. And on
Yes.
top of all that, you kind of co-organize the Data Scotland conference, which is held annually, and which,
Correct.
in my opinion, is probably the best conference to get started with if you're new to the field. You know, it's free, it's easygoing. So, is there anything else you would like to add to that?
I think you've made me sound very informed, so I think you've covered it there.
You know, we could have a chat about all the certificates by itself. It can be a whole different conversation. But can you just tell me
Yeah.
briefly, like, what does your day-to-day role look like?
So, I mean, I think like any consultant, day to day is relative. So, for the duration of a project, my day to day might look somewhat similar for a while, but each project can be extremely different. Typically, my day is really focused around making sure that if I'm on a solo project or I'm set up for the day, that I've communicated with my client, that we're all aware of what's going on for that day. A lot of communication, a lot of sprint ceremonies. We obviously have our Scrum certificates at AA, which is one of the criteria that everybody goes through, which is so useful and just is so nice to have that investment in everyone in the company to make sure that we're all capable of running through Scrum processes. So a lot of communication, and then just getting your head down and hoping that you can burst through as many tasks as possible in that day, as time is always against us.
Yeah, understandable. And then the interesting thing about a consultancy is that the field that you're working in can vary as well, isn't it?
Yeah, and one of the kind of cool things with my background is that I sit in the analytics practice, and I might be helping a customer with a technical delivery, like something around Fabric or around Power BI, and actually creating semantic models and reports and dealing with data on the ground. But equally, I might be delivering a data strategy project where we're really doing more of an advisory piece about how to adopt and utilize data throughout the entire organization, rather than focusing on the technical side with the data team. So it can really vary project on project.
Yeah, that's really interesting to know that you do both of it, isn't it? So, how did you get started in this data field?
Purely by accident. So around about 14 years ago or so, I graduated with my master's in library and information studies, completely
Oh,
unrelated.
wow.
Yeah. I had never had an intention to be technical. I was never like a computer person out with, just having grown up with like a PC because I am of that age. But yeah, I needed a job. I got a job at Santander, just like doing customer service stuff for them, Santander the bank. And quickly realized that I really liked Excel because I was keeping team stats and stuff. And that just kind of snowballed into a role opening up in real-time analytics, which is really more around like kind of productivity and resourcing and forecasting. But yeah, that started on my journey into data, and I've never looked back.
Oh, that's brilliant. Now, when you're co-organizing a conference, I suppose it takes a lot of time to organize anything, right? Because co-organize a user group in Aberdeen, and that itself, with the four of us, it takes a while to get
Oh,
through all
absolutely.
the things that you need to do. So I'm just wondering, like, how much of your time actually goes in organizing a conference or the
I
Data
would
Scotland conference?
it's a lot of time and a lot of effort. Although it's a lot of repeated steps year on year, everything changes year on year based on what's our focus for that year, like what's our kind of size of event for that year, where are we holding it, who's on the organising team, because that also varies. So there's been years where there's 4 of us, and then years where there's 3 of us, and it's always just that balance of like, how do you split all those tasks? How do you make sure that nothing falls kind of, into the late pile? But realistically, 10 months of the year, we're probably doing work, throughout the week, every week, 10 months of the year. The other 2 months of the year, which is right after the event, we always forget that actually after the event, you've got so much to do in the like 2 weeks after. Like we really focus on getting feedback out to speakers so that they can take that and improve throughout the September event cycle. So we try and do everything really quickly, but you forget how much is still there. And then throughout November, December, we all try and ignore each other as much as possible, but there's still a few things that need to be done. So
yeah, that's funny. Just like, I had enough of sitting around talking about this. I'll just do something else for a little while. That's funny. And that's exactly how we met, isn't it? Because I was a first-time speaker at Data Scotland. And I have to say, it was so well organized and it was so well supported in terms of first-time speaker as well. I've kind of been recommending it to a lot of people. Like, if you want to try it out, try it. I mean, there's a good chance that you might not like speaking. This is not your path, but it's, at least try it.
Absolutely, it's something that has always been a focus at Data Scotland, and obviously, from its foundation when Craig founded it solo in 2017, there's always been a focus on making sure that speakers are supported and that they enjoy the experience as much as they possibly can, and to really kind of try and just foster them moving through the community and speaking at other events and starting to build up that portfolio. So thank you so much for last year. You were so enthusiastic and so vocal about the experience you had, which is great because it makes everybody else pay attention. And obviously, you know yourself running the user group up in Aberdeen, like we're not London. It's it's a different market that we're in. It's different amount of people that we work with, but there's still a community there that can be fostered, especially in the Central Belt where we have access to Glasgow and Edinburgh people and everyone in between. We really appreciate all of the good news stories that come out every year.
That's great. I mean, I'm always happy to support more. And I suppose you'll be looking for volunteers now, or is that because I know that this conference is open for.
Yeah, so currently our call for speakers is open until the 2nd of May. We are always on the lookout for volunteers because the day doesn't work without the help of other people in the community. We are 3 people in the organising team, and you'll know yourself, like on the day we're just running about like headless chickens trying to make sure that the actual fundamentals are there. But our volunteers offer such a good experience to our attendees, to our speakers. They make sure that the room is kitted out, they make sure there's water, they make sure that the tech's working, they come and get someone if it's a logistical issue. We wouldn't be able to have the quantity of attendees and the amount of rooms that we have. So we have about 7 sessions run concurrently. So without volunteers, we couldn't do that. So if you're interested, volunteers@datascotland.org or pop onto our LinkedIn or our website.
Cool. I'll add that link to the bottom of the YouTube chat and things like that as well. And I would recommend, I know not everybody can do this, but I would recommend staying for the after the event as well, if you can, because to be honest, on the day, I think we would have probably spoken like 2 sentences to each other. But because after the thing, there was drinks, and obviously you're a lot more relaxed because you're like, thank goodness. So then you get a chance to actually connect with people. And I remember kind of a little bit bombarding you with questions about Glasgow because my son was starting uni I was dropping him off that weekend. I was like, oh, what is it like? I mean, obviously I know Glasgow, but it's different coming from a person, who's been living there.
Absolutely. No. And I think for me, that's the kind of best part of the day, to be honest. It's not like Data Scotland isn't somewhere that I can go and appreciate the sessions, because if I get to go to 1 session a year, then that's really lucky, typically. We don't get to enjoy all of the awesome talks that are happening in all of the rooms, but afterwards you get to connect with all the speakers, you get to hear what their day was like and take that feedback, whether they've got negatives or things that could improve. But I think especially last year, I think we kind of each year gets better and better ultimately because we get better at organising it. is fundamentally what's happening. But last year it was so nice at the after party to just get to speak to people, not necessarily about data as much as it was,
Yeah.
the topic, but also just to get to know you and what you were doing. It was such a kind of lovely end to the day.
Yeah, it's the human connection. And to be honest, that's what keeps me going, like that human to human connections. And when you know that, there are nice people in the world, and which is one of the reasons I've started this podcast as well, so that other people know that there are nice people in the community. Can you please reach out or join in
Absolutely.
and see how it like? So I do have a few recurring questions that I normally ask all my guests. So the first one is the career curveball. So was there a moment in your career where it kind of took an unexpected turn? I suppose going from library science to data is one, but is there anything else you can think of?
Yeah, so I think there's one real standout kind of curveball in my career. I've very much went from in-house analytics to consultancy early on. Most of my career has been consultancy. There was one time when I went back to in-house, but it was essentially just like a project. I essentially stepped away and then stepped back to the same consultancy. So it's been very linear. But during COVID, that first year of COVID, our data and AI practice was made redundant. And I went on the job hunt, and it was obviously a little bit different because location was no longer ever an issue. So there was a lot more job openings for places down south that perhaps wouldn't have hired up north before. And I went out, had some really good conversations, had kind of two businesses interested at the same time, and I made the decision to go with the lesser known option. It wasn't an established consultancy, it was a healthcare analytics company that were trying to kind of move into the mental health space because they had this analytics product, and it was a little bit different to what I'd done, but on paper it wasn't massively different in terms of the skill sets. It was just like the industry that was different, or the focus. And I was there for 8 months, and I don't think that I'd ever felt so out of my comfort zone, but not in a good way. So it was a very different focus. It wasn't actually about analytics. It wasn't about the customer. It was very much about this one singular product. And it was a very clear moment where I had fallen into data like 10 years before that by accident. And it was that kind of like moment of thinking, oh, I am in the right business, like data consultancy, data and AI, analytics, whatever we want to call it. That's where I can offer my skills and actually achieve good things for our customers. So it was one of those really awkward situations of the first time in my life having to think, should I walk away from this because it isn't a good fit for me? It isn't a good fit for the company, but it's such a big step to take, especially at that time where we were kind of like, a year and a half into the COVID situation. So I decided to walk away, and I actually had a few months off just to live life, walk the dogs all day long. It was lovely. It was the best decision I've ever made. And then I just got right back to it. Joined the consultancy that I hadn't picked in the original round, and had a great time with them. So yeah.
That's amazing. And it's almost like you got to try out both the options now, isn't it? And know which one is right for you. And at that same time, it sometimes takes a little bit of courage to walk away from something that, is not right. But then you're like, I got to pay my bills too.
That's it. It's that balance, isn't it? But I think it was that lesson of, if something isn't working for you, it's okay to say that. It's okay to have that truthful conversation and to just kind of take all the good you can from it and walk away and find the next challenge. There's always, I think we're incredibly lucky in data. Like there's always another route. Like there's always another option out there, because ultimately what we do is so necessary and so needed by so many organizations that we have that luxury in a way. But yeah, it was a really big kind of humbling lesson that I don't regret, but certainly was a curveball.
Well, thank you for sharing that. My next question is basically data hot takes. So is there any surprising opinion about data that you have heard?
Heard from other people.
Yeah, I suppose the most common one now is like, is AI going to take my job?
Yeah, I think anybody that is kind of running around worried that AI is going to take over, the world, let alone their job. I think that's pretty shocking to me. I think people's understanding of AI is always shocking to me with the data community. Certainly, it makes for some good debates with friends. But yeah.
Well, sometimes it's like they have launched into the movie version of it. Like, we are 20 years into the future and everything is now, controlled by AI. And you're like, we are quite a lot, away from that, or
I
very,
think
very far away.
absolutely Skynet is not around the corner yet.
Yeah.
I think that if you use ChatGPT, you very quickly realise that it's just an advanced Google at this point. It's just very useful, but unless you're in the deep kind of experimentation of it,
Yeah.
people's opinion of AI out there in the public is a little bit wild at the moment. So
Yeah. I think it has increased the speed at which people pick up stuff though, because there's a lot of, advantages to using it, but it's in nowhere at that place where it can replace. Speed
yes,
up your tasks, yes, but replace? No, I don't think so. So yeah, we'll wait
absolutely.
next year and see how this goes.
I know,
If
right?
not,
I'll eat my words.
a leap into the 1 year and they're like, oh no, it's all gone.
There'll be a fake you and me doing a podcast.
Actually, we can actually do that. I could do a, avatar version of me which can do this.
Hang on, was that an option?
Yeah,
I'm
it's
sure.
great for people who don't want to face the camera, isn't it? Just like, no, thank you.
Absolutely.
No, I've definitely seen that. You've got these little, well, they just move the mouth up and down. That's it. It's not like it's actually synced, but no, yeah. So you
Yeah,
can hide behind that if you wanted to.
that is true. We'll keep that in mind.
Keep that in mind. Okay, so the next bit is an insider intel. So, what is one essential tip, whether it is technical or non technical, that a data and AI professional should know?
I think for me, the answer has to be that you can be the best technologist in the world. You can be so into the detail of the tech, into the detail of data. It doesn't matter for me if you can't communicate with your clients, with your customers, with your co-workers. I think that the industry is so good at the tech stuff and sometimes not so good at the communication side of things and the softer skill side of things. And I think if you want to be a good all-rounder, then that should be something that is equally on your kind of learning plan. Learning how to gather requirements in a succinct manner, learning how to communicate and document things in a useful way, thinking about the adoption of all of the solutions that you're building and like who that end user is. Are they going to use this because it's got all the bells and whistles and newest technology attached to it? Or is it actually, light years away from where that end user is, and actually what they require is a really basic solution that allows them to take that data and to drive decisions for them. So I think for me, I would say that the softer skills involved in being a good consultant, a good developer are really important.
No, I think I completely do agree with that. There is also like things like scoping of the projects and things like that, which takes a while and which comes only with experience, isn't it?
That's very true. Very true. It's hard. I think scoping and estimating is always difficult, but it is this experience that kind of allows you to do that in a better way.
Yeah.
Collaboration as well, like listening to everybody in the team and getting their feedback on estimation, rather than just assumption, is always
Mhm.
useful.
That's true. And it's also to go back to the last question that you can automate the technical bits, maybe small section, and maybe that section will grow. But these things and these skills still stay. So it's important to be able to bring that value to the team as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, technology constantly changes. Like, nothing stays the same for long. There's no static version of anything, but the skills that you have around communication, around requirements gathering, around scoping, like that goes with you to every single project that you're going to undertake.
Yeah, brilliant. So the next one is balancing it all. So how do you manage your work-life balance? Do you have any hobbies? I know you spoke about the dogs that you have who take up a
Yeah.
lot of your time.
Very needy. No, you know, think that at the start of your career, I think that most people end up, taking on too much and working, crazy hours. And I think that that's something that we've all done. Hopefully we learn from it. And I think that, I'm kind of 14, 15 years into my career. I protect my time outside of work. If I have a client deadline for the next morning and I know that in order to successfully deliver that, I really need to pull like an all-nighter, then I'll do that. But that's a once, twice a year situation. I never want to be in that situation. So I think it's really more around planning and protecting your non-working time and just really sticking to that. Nothing's going to burn down without you. Typically, like, we're part of it. We're part of a team. Like, we're not one individual holding up the whole world. So I think just learning that it's okay to step away when it's not your working hours is healthy, So I try and protect that time. I have a drum lessons every second week at the weekend, so that I know that that's never going to fall out of my schedule. I'm never going to get something that clashes with it. And that's something that I kind of practice. You'll see, got my little drum kit down there that I can kind of practice on.
Oh wow!
In between meetings, like lunchtime, so you can kind of get that energy out, get that frustration out if you've had a bad day.
I need to see a video of you doing that now. It's just like it's taken up space in my head already. You're just smashing out, like depending how the last call went.
That's it. We'll get a drum kit at Data Scotland for the after party, and we'll just all have
it. I bet we'll be fine for noise pollution. They're like, stop making up.
Oh, brilliant. Great idea.
I think that's what I need, shots from all the guests, showing what they do to take their frustrations out. So
real evidence of your hobbies.
Okay, so now for the most important and the most divisive questions that I can ask, I suppose. Are you ready for this?
Yes, go.
Yes. Sweet or savory?
Oh, savory.
Oh.
Hands down. That was easy.
Why?
Savory is so many flavors. So many more
all
flavors.
The lovely cakes. How do you not like cakes?
Oh, I mean, cakes are lovely. Like, once in a while, a cake, wonderful. But like, savory is so many different things. Like, oh, so good. And sweet makes you can only have a little bit of sweet, and you're going to be like, oh God, don't feel great.
No, the thing is, like, every single person so far, the fourth person I'm interviewing, everybody has gone savory.
Oh, I like that.
I'm not liking the probabilities in this.
What I'm hearing is that we should just, like, Data Scotland at lunch, there's always sweets left over. So we're just pack those off on the side for you to come to when you're ready.
Definitely. Just let me just... You should probably keep it away from me, to be honest. My problem with sweets is that if there is a box open, I will work through them. Which is not a good thing. I know it's not a good thing. So, yeah.
Oh, we've got like our junk food drawer. And it's just like chocolates that have been opened and never finished. You need more help us out.
Well, to be fair, now I'm going because I prefer now the dark chocolates to the other stuff. So it's relatively healthier in big quotes.
Yeah. Dark chocolate full of antioxidants. Yep, absolutely.
That's exactly why I'm eating it. Nothing to do with anything else.
Just a health food.
Well, to be honest, there is a market for somebody making something which is, healthy and tastes good.
Yeah, I mean, vegetables taste good.
Yeah, but somebody has to chop it. I mean, I'm the one chopping it. Sometimes I just which is why an apple or a banana is always a good snack, or even like an orange, because you don't need to do anything, you just get on with the stuff. So
that is true. I can't argue with that.
Oh, I do say that, I do love having a pack of nuts with me. Walnuts, pecans, almonds.
Oh.
That I can easily munch to. As long as the crunch is there, I think it's quite good. So, So the last bit is basically any announcement of upcoming events or anything exciting that you would like to share with the audience.
I think, just to reiterate, that Data Scotland 2025 will be on the 12th of September in Glasgow at the Technology and Innovation Centre, which is the same location as last year and a couple of years before that. just in the city centre of Glasgow. Call for speakers is now open until the 2nd of May. We're always looking for volunteers, so link below. And yeah, the attendee registration will be open in kind of the start of May at some point, but you can keep an eye on our website or LinkedIn for that as well. It's free to attend as well, so keep an eye
Yes, it's
out.
free to attend, and also like it is pretty oversubscribed, isn't it? So you should
Yeah,
probably
so
try and get your tickets.
yeah, we do. The last few years we've actually sold out, as in we cannot give another registration away to make sure that we don't overfill the location and get kicked out by the fire marshal. So
Yeah, don't want that halfway through the conference, is it? Well, thank you. Thank you, Nikki. This has been a fascinating conversation, and I always enjoy catching up with you.
oh, absolutely, same for me. And thank you so much for inviting me on. It's an honour.
And that's a wrap. I really appreciate you tuning in. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to follow for more and share it with others. See you at the next one. Till then, keep connecting and keep learning.